So here we have Mike, and Mike is a 3PL specialist. Mike's been doing it for, I think, 8 years. Correct, Mike?
Yeah, let's just round it to 10.
Let's just round it to 10. In freight years, that's like 20, just so everybody knows. It's just how we roll.
I mean, if you compare me to the most people in this industry, you'd be thinking I've been north of 20 years. So
north of 20 years, yeah. Same here. It's one of those things that when all you do is like you're a freight nerd and it's all you kind of talk about, it's just who we are. So why don't I just jump in and let you kind of introduce yourself and kind of give a little bit of rundown from what you do and things like that.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, nickel tour of what I do. I own a franchise with Global Trans. Basically, what I go in and my approach is going all in with accounts, being a one-stop shop. So, in the typical industry, we always hear brokers beating up carriers, all this rate shopping things, but I could care less about that. I mean, a rate, anybody can get you a rate. Anybody, someone's going to always be cheaper. My goal is to go into companies and be a consultant and really look at this thing, 10,000 feet up and show them exactly, how their supply chain, logistics, operations, distribution is financially impacting their company. Then tailor a program that's going to align with, not only their goals, but their customers' goals, and just be, again, their one-stop shop partner. So freight rates or, transportation spend is just a small smidgen of, what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like I try to portray it in my channel, and when I go over with people, is everybody thinks that steering wheel and that windshield is the end of logistics. Pick up from the shipper, the broker gets it to pick, tells the driver to pick it up, and then the driver picks it up, and then it ends up being delivered. And they have no idea how monstrous the industry actually is. And the goal is not just to get into that one spec shipping department, but is actually to get in like I do. I eventually talk to everybody from the, like you do, the accounting department, the legal departments, the CEOs, the CFOs, and to actually intertwine yourself. And that's kind of pretty much how you handle it also, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I've never done anything transactional. I mean, I started my career at like a company called Worldwide Express, which is funny is, they announced it, the merger with Global Trans, but putting that aside, so I started with a company called Worldwide Express, and I was like, until I left Worldwide Express, I was there for almost like 5 years. I was convinced everybody did it this way, right? Like we were going, walking through industrial parks, asking for the owner. Hey, my name's Mike. I'm with Worldwide Express. I'm here to see the owner, which is even today. I mean, it built a lot of tough skin, and it sounds kind of funny to say like doing that, but they taught us how to be consultants. They taught us, I always say this, and you've probably heard me, say it multiple times. I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes into the day-to-day granular booking, tracking, all that stuff. But from a high level, like I think about things about how it impacts a business, because the way they trained us was to go in and, hey, this is what a 3PL can do. These are the benefits we can bring. These are challenges companies have. What's going to, intrigue a CEO, CFO, VP to take my meeting? Well, they don't talk about, they're not, dealing with the day-to-day granular shipping stuff, but they are, dealing with, the business side of things, right? So I had to learn how to tie, supply chain logistics into, into a way to say, hey, this is going to be impacting your bottom line, increase, I can increase margins, all that good stuff. So until I moved outside of that, I thought everybody did that. And then I really noticed like, this is really nobody really ever calls. No wonder I was getting all these answers from CEOs because nobody ever calls them, right? It's like they almost think it's like there's nothing else besides a rate, right? So this past year is just really mind blowing to me, and it just reassured me that the gap is a lot bigger than I thought, because let's face it, supply chain got pretty popular, I guess you could say, during this pandemic. Everybody started talking about it. You saw a lot more people popping up. And I just realized I took a step back, and I just, it reassured me. All the conversations happening are just rate, broker, carrier, rate, broker, carrier. And it's like, these are such a small piece of like, what we're not even thinking about what the customers' wants and needs are. We're just literally bitching at each other. So I just don't get it.
Right. And I think that one of the things that and I bring up is that truly understanding and knowing a lot of knowledge just allows you to go in and talk to these CEOs, right? So you actually know what you're doing and understand the whole process and their business model and what their business model is. So, because a lot of times your approach is, or I would, with me being an oversized freight consultant, I would sneak in through sales because I knew that the salespeople were basically the ones quoting budgetary quotes. And then from the budgetary quotes, I could help them. And then from there, I could move up into transportation and then into the CEO and stuff like that. But you kind of approach through accounting, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, in a perfect world, people call it cold calling, prospecting. However, I call it information learning, right? I already know, like, again, I'm calling, what departments are impacted or have to deal with some sort of, are touching some sort of the supply chain logistics, right? Accounting is definitely, that's a huge finance. I think of finance, right? Finance is huge. And it's like, okay, well, I know I can consolidate bills, right? I know I can, provide visibility into key cost drivers that they might not have. So why don't I just call accounting? One, they don't get called ever by logistics people, right? Because let's face it, you call a logistics person, I hate calling logistics people because at the end of the day, I have to compete with the masses of people. So it's like I have to almost hook, like right when I call them, I'm like, yo, I'm not trying to get on a carrier list. Don't even want your business. I just want to know your process, right? So I just said, screw that. I'm going to call accounting. They're going to tell me, I could say, hey, do you spend north of 20 grand a month? Cool, yada, yada, yada. And I learned really more about their process from an accounting standpoint. Like I won't get into the weeds in it, but there's a lot of things that I can help with that I can go into, that executive leadership and say, hey, I spoke with your AP person. You guys aren't properly allocating transportation cost into your pricing model. Do you know the financial impact that's having on your company? And then just take it from there.
And then from there, where's the next step? Where does it go from there? Because obviously at that point, you're learning how the business works and you're obviously going to be going in there and asking questions because you know what the answers you want to get to and kind of give them that route. So kind of through that call.
So, I mean, it's setting a meeting, right? Like I don't think people have meetings. My goal is to, okay, I found some pain points, right? Normally you want to find pain points. Sometimes I'll just rip a dial, but in a perfect world, I find some pain points, call the executive, usually depending on the size of the company, but CEO, CFO.
Hang on. So pain points, you mean problems in their processing?
Yeah. And again, they're definitely challenges, but now is those challenges big enough for them to take my meeting, right? For that CEO to take my meeting? Is it intrigue him enough, right? So that first meeting, we get on a call and they might bring in a shipping manager, they might bring in a logistics manager, but usually it's just us, right? And we'll have a conversation about a little bit more on what I can do, what their current process is. And believe it or not, these executives know more than you think, right? When you get them into that discovery call. But again, it's more or less, hey, what's your goals when it comes into your supply chain? Or, hey, listen, I say properly allocating transportation costs. Right now, do you have a customer? Do you get reports on customer profitability? Do you know your cost to serve? Those are things that, if you don't know, I can actually run a supply chain analysis for you, a cost to serve analysis, and show you exactly what your cost to serve is and show you how much more we can put back inside your company if we just properly know the cost to serve by locations, customers, and SKUs, right?
Right. Cost we can basically being kind of like their rate per mile, how much it actually costs from the moment they build it to the moment they sell it.
Well, correct. So like a lot of companies right now is like, okay, so do you just, for instance, CPG companies, they'll say, okay, they'll tack on 12% of the sale, right? And I'll say, okay, well, is it 12% across the board? Yeah, we tack 12% on as a part of logistics, our shipping. Okay, well, how did you get to that 12%? Well, we just did it. Well, that's not a lot. Like that's financially impacting the company regardless, right? I don't care if you just act or like just guessed at that 12%, because think about how many different customers you have, how many different locations you have, how many different SKUs you have from weights and all that. You don't know properly, some might be 12%, some might be 8%, but some might be 30%. So let me show you exactly your cost to serve for all your customers, for all your transportation. And that way you can see, hey, listen, that 12% on these customers, we're losing money, right? We're having to pay for shipping. We're not allocating our transportation costs properly. The goal of that is now we have visibility into, again, a key cost driver that shows us the customers that aren't as profitable and might even be hurting them to the point where it's like negative margin in those customers. How do we increase the margin on that? Because again, I'm not naive to think that we're going to be profitable, like extremely profitable on every customer. But the goal is to at least have an idea of which customers are really profitable, which customers are average, and which customers are losing you money, and how do we increase those?
Right. And then CP, just so everybody knows that Mike speaks C++ English, which is like CEO and CFO English. So if I stop him a little bit, it's just because I'm trying to break it down. So
I just realized how dumb or how I probably like, damn, I got to learn how to simplify this more.
No. It's okay. No, that's what I'm here for, man. That's what me and Mike, I'm looking to do a show with Mike more often. And my whole goal is going to be translation to the, common people from C++ language. So, customer packaged goods is CPG, and that's type stuff like food would be that, right?
Yeah, I mean CPG could be anything. Clorox, the Clorox company, CPG. I mean, food. I tie it with food and beverage, but if you think about this, is like my bread and butter. I've worked with all types of companies, but the past couple of years, I've been really dialed into, I say, like CPG or food and beverage companies, and that's they're going into, those big box retailers, distribution centers, and a lot of on time in full, appointment set, like stuff like that is crucial.
Right. So your goal then with them would be, now you specialize in like LTL, truckload. What's your forte?
I don't have a mode. I got a team. So that's where I go back to my point is like, I know all that stuff. Right. But it's like, I say that's the thing that kills a lot of people, I think, in anything, right? They don't want to delegate. They want to be the know-it-all. And I was that person thinking I was that person. I was losing stuff. So I got a team of guys that I'm building out that right now that are just so, that I've taken them from, straight up those savage brokers that are like, they know the market. I need them guys too. But operation, like I believe that my job is easy, right? My job's super easy. I'd rather bring on really talented people that know operations that say, hey, when I'm pitching an idea, they can look at them and say, hey, I can actually do this for them. This crazy kid that's talking about this idea, we're going to implement it and make sure it's right. But I don't look at modes. I look at it as a business, right? Right. Transportation. So I've done it all. I know small parcel, like the back of my hand from a rate negotiation. I resold UPS small parcel for 5 years. LTL, I would say from a trucking standpoint, I know LTL more than anything. But truckload, I mean, if it's there, I can make sense of it from a business standpoint, right? But I couldn't tell you. I mean, if I had to, I should show you the video. I could go in and book a truck, but that's not what I'm doing.
And it's funny too, because I say the same thing. You say this, well, it's just this easy for me. No, it's actually not easy. What we do is not easy. We seem to be good at it, but sometimes it's not easy. So just everybody understands. But and my point of that is customers, you have to kind of know all of it or have people to know all of it. Because so many times people are just going in, let's say a broker or somebody, and they're like, all I know is van. I'm just going to go into this van customer, and all they know is full truckload van. And that might not be best serving the customer, because your job is to solve their problems and service the customer, not just,
that's probably, I mean, that's half the industry, right? And everybody can sit there and say like, you're trying to be the best of everything. It's like, no. I know consulting, and I know how to be a one-stop shop. I'm not saying I don't know everything, but I have team members. I have on my team that do, right? So, I mean, listen, I'm not trying, like, again, I know there's a lot of times I get a lot of not feedback, but like some pushback from just even our own industry, where it's like, I get it. There's some people work for companies that can't provide a one-stop shop type model, right? Listen, that's fine, but figure out a way to solve some challenges outside of a rate. Like, that's where I posted even like the idea, right? The idea of, hey, let me do your RFP all in, right? Let me go cost plus. Let me open book it, right? It's like people just don't want to have any ideas. Literally, they just want to bitch about things. And then you got, other people with, a platform that just talk about things that probably impact like Kellogg, right? That don't impact like half, that don't even impact or don't even have anything to help to do or help with like the masses of companies that, aren't inbound shipping, having like receiving thousands of containers from China. It's like, come on, like it's just all over the map, dude. It baffles me.
It is, and I think that's a big like I said, and that's one of the misconceptions of what I'm trying to portray is what was when I with the carriers and stuff is they have to understand where they have to know their place. Let's be honest. Everybody has to kind of know their place, and if they don't like their place, they have to learn the other places, right? And that other places is actually understanding the customers when you go in the door and being observant and wanting to know more about that customer so you can better serve that customer.
No, I agree. I mean, yeah, but to your point, the carriers, I think they are the ones that should be like, that's the funny thing is it's like carriers like working with me because I'm going in and I don't have, hey, listen, they're going to give me a rate, right? I'm only bringing people good freight, right? If they want it, great. If they don't want it, that's fine. It's like, but that's the thing is like, my thought is the person driving your goods, that's the most important person right there, right? Like if you want to just get real. So I don't need to nickel and dime. I don't want everybody has to be profitable, right? Everybody has to make money. And that's what you have to think about, right? And listen, people are like, well, there's shady people. Well, guess what? There's shady people in everywhere, right? You can't just be, you just can't be cynical towards life. Okay. So my goal is to go out there and it's my job to, hey, listen, can you give me a competitive rate? Awesome. These are the lanes you'll get. If you could give us this, you got to sign a contract. But then that's my goal is to go in there and save, again, doing things that are going to save my customer money and not even have to touch a rate, right? Like I can go in, there's plenty of accounts where I go in and I do like warehouse optimization, mode optimization. And I could go in cost neutral. And I'm running, again, most of my customers know the margin I'm running. I'm running 20% margin. I didn't beat the carriers up at all for the rate, right? I saved them 40% by just doing a little bit of, actual strategy planning. And we're all happy, right? At the end of the day, a shitty paid sales rep is not a good sales rep. A shitty paid driver is not a good driver, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, I am for the carriers. I think that they probably get beat up by, or they probably get shit on by a lot of brokers, and it's probably vice versa. But again, it's just like, I don't got time for that.
Right. And I do the same thing. I'm the same exact way when it comes to my carrier. And when I mean know their places, they have to realize that I'm there to get my money on top of their money. Right. They need to know that their place is to haul the freight and move the freight and stuff like that. But they also have to realize that, like, when I go into a carrier, I'm basically like, all right, how much do you need to do this load? And they come and we talk about it and I say, okay, it's $5,000. And then at that point, I'm going to get my money on top of what they gave me. Now I just need them to perform that service for that. So in regards to them realizing that I am not the enemy and I'm not always bashing the price down, I'm just performing a service for the customer that they can't do as that carrier. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I meant by that. So I think now let's talk about that with the carriers. What are you expecting? Like, okay, if they're a carrier, because obviously that's the other thing too, is when we're looking at stuff, for me, it's different specific types of equipment, step deck, flatbed, RGN. But for you, when you're going to look to quote, if it's a LTL freight, you're probably not contacting a full truckload carrier and stuff like that.
Yeah, we already have our rates negotiated. Like when you think of that, Global Trans, we already have our blanket rates. So like any 3PL, at least the ones that are, your top worth knowing about, we already have contracts with LTL carriers, right? Now there's just something called carrier specific pricing. And that is if a customer does $20,000 a month minimum in LTL spend, we can go out and even get a more aggressive rate specifically for that company's needs, right? For whatever freight they're moving from an LTL standpoint. But other than that, we already have contracted rates and they're called blanket rates. And then we put margin on top of that. So,
right.
We all fish from the same pond. When I say that on the LTL side, that's only, again, I would say top 10 people in the 3PL industry have those relationships and those rates. But now on the truckload side, that's kind of like, again, you're in the wild, wild west, right? So I got my team. My team is my director of operations is on everything with me. He knows the market. We're getting a lot of reefer, right? And I've been focusing on like a lot of these emerging growth stage CPG brands, and there are more and more companies are coming up with perishable goods, and I'm just like, Jesus, man, someone should go buy an LTL reefer company. You'd make a killing right now, but
yeah, that's some there.
It's a little bit more difficult, but like we'll go out there and because again, we're getting everything, right? So that's the thing is if we have enough, and usually we're not, I mean, I'm not working with anybody under like $300,000 in transportation spend a year. So we'll go out and again, we're going to see what we can do. We already have the data. We're going to go out to carriers if it's truckload and say, hey, listen, what can you give us on this? Do you even want this? Right? Here's the freight. What are you going to do for this? And on truckload, we open book everything, or at least in my team, because dude, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole where it's like, listen, I said this before, the market's always switching in truckload. Right. And I'm going to open book it. We're going to give you, we're going to come to an agreement where it's a cost.
Open book. Let's explain open book it.
So what the rate is, right? What our cost is. And then we're going to come to an agreement, and it could either be we could do it on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, a yearly basis, or per like, for instance, let me give you an example. So a customer of mine, we got, 50 truckloads a week. We get them 2 weeks in advance. We do it. It's like we say RFP, but it's only us that's getting it. Right. So we'll do every time we get that RFP, we'll give them, we haven't got contracted lanes yet, but we'll give them the rate, what we got it for. And then we come to an agreement of what we can mark it up from a dollar standpoint. Right. So we agreed it will never be below 300 and it will never be above 700. Right.
Right.
So it's worked out, like, because it just builds trust, right? It's like, but we had to come to the agreement though, where it's like, listen, when the market's in your favor, because they hired a new logistics guy, and he said, what do you guys see to the market? And I knew what was coming next. It was it was like, well, and I said, listen, we're not sitting here telling you when the market's in your favor. No, there's not a doubt in our mind that you can go get it cheaper. But when it's not, we're the ones taking care of you and taking a hit. So, you got to give and take. So again, that's the best part about that was having the CEO involved in it, where it was like, no, I signed this contract. We're not making any switches. This is kind of, you had to get the new guy up to par, but you see what I'm saying? But it saved a ton of time, built trust real quick. Cause they were all a little, we don't want to give you rates. We don't want to do this. And I was like, listen, I backed away from it. I mean, Sage, I backed away from it. I said, I don't think this is not a good fit. And then that's when the CEO was like, you're trying to tell me you want to save me money and now you don't want to give me rates. And I was just like,
it's sometimes though go ahead.
I mean, yeah. I mean, dude, I'm not in the business of listen, I'm not going to do business with, or I'm not going to try to be, well, how do I want to put this? I don't want to be just I want to solve your problems, right? I want to solve challenges. And if you don't, and if it doesn't work out, or if you don't think you have enough, if it's enough of an issue to do it my way, because I've done it my way, that's fine. No harm, no foul. I'm just going to go the other way, right? Yeah, I've never done it this way. Why not try it? What's the worst that's going to happen? We're not even moving things yet. What's the worst that's going to happen? And then I remember after that, I said, if you want to move forwards, I'll sign an NDA. Got that NDA the next morning.
Right. And I think that's some of the things that people have to realize too, is there's sometimes you just have to back away from some customers. You just have to say, I appreciate the opportunity and stuff like that, but this isn't the route I normally go. But you're welcome to, contact me back and stuff like that. And sometimes customers respond quite well to that. And they're like, okay, we want to still do this. And then sometimes customers are like, we're going to go a different route also. And then they find out.
That's fine.
Exactly. But sometimes
they might work out though. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just human nature. Like everybody, I'll end it with that. Be a resource, not an order taker. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to sit here and people don't work with me because I'm a yes man, right? They know that, okay, guess what? This aggressive 33-year-old, I said kid, but guy is going to get it done. What if, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like, who do you want in your corner when shit hits the fan? You want the guy that just says, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Or do you want the guy that literally goes to bat and is willing to fight for what he wants and what his customers want? That's on them. If that's what they want, I'm here. If not, no harm, no foul.
Exactly. Somebody else will appreciate that. So let me jump in here. We have a question there. I don't know. Can you see those just to make sure? Probably the old apps, the old load apps getting rid of brokers and are being less profitable. What's your opinion?
I have no idea. Like, I know what a load board is, but it's like, it goes back to my point. It's like, listen, we should have got my truckload guy on here. He probably uses them, but will load board apps push brokers out or make brokers are never. Here's the thing is the old school brokerage is going to be getting weaned out. Like, I think I don't want to say transactional brokers are going to be all finished.
Transactional brokers, as in regards to, just so everybody understands that, is, hey, let me come in there, just going directly to the shipper and saying, hey, or the traffic manager, and saying, let me quote your rate, let me do that, and that's all they're doing, basically.
Yeah, and I think that shippers are going to get, like, again, they're starting to get more educated. They're starting to realize, like, 3PLs that can come in and provide other things than outside of a rate, like technology and stuff like that. And I think that, from a broker standpoint on this point, I don't know. I mean, that's not really from a load board. I don't really know shit about a load board, but
yeah, what the loads are, just so you know what those are called click and goes. So basically it's like a bidding process that you can actually just click on the app and put your rate in and say yes or no, or put your price in. And then from there it gets kicked back to the load board. And then the load board, you go on. So what it does is eliminates the ability for any communication. It's just click and go.
So like Uber Freight?
Yeah, which is a perfect example, because I just recently dealt with somebody on the weekend where Uber Freight outsources everybody, and he sat for 4 days, and he called me, and we were able to get it fixed. But when things go wrong, there's nobody to communicate with. It's dead air. You can't get a hold of anybody over the weekend. You can't get a hold of anybody on Monday, and they escalate it. So the problem is the communication at that point, where I don't think that's ever going to go away, because you're always going to have problems in trucking. When you stop having problems in trucking, world's coming to an end.
It could be coming soon. But no, in all seriousness, it's like that comes back to, so I'm really big. I'm big into technology, and a lot of times people are like, "Oh, you think technology is just replacing people?" No, it's not replacing people, but it's replacing the tedious stuff that people have to do. You still need people. You still need human communication, right? With anything you do. What does it say? How did you learn about
supply chain and the 3PL system? Well, you were actually taught by Worldwide then, correct?
Yeah. So I graduated college, double majored broadcasting, PR. I only said this one other time. I took a job being a recruiter right out of college for I was just like, this is the worst. This is the worst job. So I went hiatus. I ended up being like a promotional bar manager for like 3 months. And I was like, man, what the fuck am I doing with my life right now? I got a degree. My girlfriend at the time was in PA school, physician's assistant. I'm like, man, she left me, but still she didn't leave me because of that. But I was like, she's definitely going to leave me. And I get a call from this guy, Chaz, a recruiter. Shout out Chaz. I get a call from him about Worldwide Express, and the rest is history, man. I just fell in love with like everything about supply chain logistics and how it just like runs the world, right? And it made me so much more business savvy, and just the way it impacts everything. I fell in love with it. Like, just like, I don't know. I can't even really, I don't know if I felt, it's funny is because most salespeople aren't operationally mindset to,
right.
They're just not, but it's crazy. Cause I was like, I've been offered like multiple jobs to go run people's like VP of these emerging brands, VP of like supply chain. And I was like, there's not a chance in hell. I love supply chain and logistics and the operations piece, but I love selling too, dude. Like, I'm a weird breed where it's like, I'm a mixture of both. I just got into it from Worldwide, and the rest is history. I'm just in love with knowing. I think it's because I'm really good at it, and I just love, there's a ton of money in it. There's a ton of money. I can't believe people don't make money in this.
Right. And I think that's it. And just so everybody knows, Mike is extremely ADD to the point that he probably switches his room around 6 times. And even today, he said, hey, I'm going to be late doing the show. I'm like, what, are you moving your room around? He's like, yes. I'm like, oh my God.
I got to look good for you, Sage.
I know. And now I'm getting whooped. Now I got to completely change my room around. This is crap. Whatever. We'll make on. But no, and that was, So I think that's a big thing too, because it's like me, I'm a one-man show. So I do the operations, the dispatching, the sales and everything else, which I've done the same thing. But I think when I was watching your videos, and I've actually binge watched your videos, I've got probably them all memorized. I saw that same like drive, that nonstop, don't sleep, because people say that about me. He kid doesn't sleep. Not sleep, need to get it done, need to solve problems, need to be, process. And that's not, you almost have to have that in supply in logistics, because it's fast moving, fast paced, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you just are, people are like, dude, I don't know what it is. Like, I mean, I think it's just a mentality winners have, right? And again, I'm not here to hold up. I heard this 700 per load margins.
Yeah, but basically this is what he's talking about is you said that when
it's a blended 8%. If we're doing percentages, it's a blended 8% master splinter, meaning 8% margins.
Right.
But where was I going at with this? Oh yeah. Mindset, like go, or winners just want to win. Right. And I read a book by Tim Grover. It's a second book called Winning, the Mindset of Winning. And it was just like, it just gave clarity to a lot of things. Like, he talks about like, because at times I'm like, man, am I insane? Am I just like going nuts? Because like I just love win. And it was like, no. He talks about how he like coached Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. He was like their guy. And it's just a mindset I think you're born with. And you either got it or don't. And again, I'm not sitting here telling anybody they got to live the life to be dedicated to winning and wanting to succeed. I mean, but that's just the way I do things. So.
Yeah. So okay. So let me see. There was something else here. Worldwide out of Iowa. No,
Detroit.
Wow. Were you in Detroit at the time?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Michigan, trickled down to Wisconsin, then I moved out to California. Now I'm in Seattle or Kirkland.
Yeah,
Washington.
That's the other thing too, because like I said, I'm up at 4:00 my time, and he's emailing me, and I'm like, okay, this kid's gonna. And the next thing you know, he's like, all right, we can go on in a couple hours. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, so, dude, I gotta take advantage of this time difference, man. That's why a lot of my customers too are like in the East Coast, so I'm just like, all right.
All right, all right. So because a lot of the thing that they're looking at is like carriers. Let's talk about carriers a little bit real quick.
I'm down.
When you're actually looking for carriers, what do you and you're doing that? Is it larger carriers or smaller carriers? We already know that if anybody wants, you hurry up and go out and buy box truck reefer trucks, and you guys would be golden. LTL reefer trucks.
I mean, straight up, because it's like LTL reefer alone. It's like, and a lot of these accounts are just like, they don't even have the volume to really, it's just a mess, man. I just like, let's go full truckload dedicated, but they don't have the cost budget either, which makes sense. Right. So it's like, now we got to run a consolidation program regardless. If someone was out there and if someone's got money and wants to dedicate reefer LTL to emerging growth stage CPG brands, you'd make a killing. Anyways, what am I looking for? Whatever my customers' wants and needs are, right? So that's the whole game, right? I'm going to say, hey, listen, this is the way we run show. This is the way we run our show. Our customers are giving us everything. We don't want to go out and reach out to every single carrier. That's not our game plan. What could you do? Do these lanes, this is the data. Do these lanes appeal to you? Do you have the trucks for this? Do you have the drivers for this? And if so, let's work something out. It's just like that. It's like, is it attractive to them first? Let them know, okay, we'll give you all that volume you said that was attractive to you. Can we get to a price point that makes sense for both of us? Then I go back to my customer.
All right. So that's the, and that's the other thing too, I think, is that a lot of people don't understand is customers, or at least before I got there, let's just say, customers are not always, let's try to be nice. They're not always the best organized and optimal as people might think they are. So there are a lot of times I'm making phone calls and I'm like, what? You're doing what? And they're, yeah. Right. You get the same thing, right?
That's why we have a job, right? It's like I don't even think it's like they don't want to. It's not about like, it's like they only know what they know, right? It's like, it's still shocking to me today that like I'll call into a company. I'm like, wait, you use 4 different 3PLs, all competitors of mine that all have a platform that could literally tell you, hey, we could do this all for you. And they're still letting you do this. That's where I'm just like, well, yes, I'm thankful that that's happening because I have a job, but it also comes to the point where it's like, damn, we got to like, because I love the industry, right? I want to educate. That's why I would say I want to educate screw it. I mean, I want to educate my competitors, right? Newcomers. It's like at the end of the day, they won't take half the knowledge I want to give them. They won't listen. But it's mind blowing that it's not even unorganized. It's just education. And that stems from our end, right? We are so weak when it comes to educating the shipper on things that truly matter to their company, whether they, things that they don't even know. A lot of people are like, well, who am I to tell them how to run a company? You're the expert at what you're doing. You're not telling them how to run the company. You're telling them how their supply chain is impacting their company. And you have an idea. What's the worst I don't understand. What's the worst that's going to happen? If you say that to someone, oh, screw you for wanting to help me.
Yeah, get out of my office. What? And I think that's the big problem. And why do you think that is? Why do you think in this industry that as big as it is and as much money as it is, that there are just a lot of either people like, let's be honest, the people that brokers and things like that just don't know the whole picture.
They don't get trained. They don't get trained. I got lucky. Like Worldwide Express, I give them credit. Everywhere I go, I say it. They taught me the basics of business, right? They taught me how businesses run. And you do like I don't think I've met anybody that has literally done you call it managed trans, enterprise, whatever.
Right.
That's only done all in sales. It's like foreign, right? I got a couple one-off RFPs, but it's like at the end of the day, I've never really ran into that. And it's funny, even further, as it's like I was talking, like what I do a lot. There's a lot of like, you don't hear about it, right? Because there's so many smart, nerdy people, you need them, right? That are in what I do, like managed trans, that don't, but you need them. So it's like, I always laugh about it. I was on a conversation with one of my extremely nerdy friends, but we get along. And I was like, I just got blessed. I was like, I'm smart enough to just hang with those guys. And then it goes back into, I'm also, but I'm very strong in sales, right? Or, I'm voicing my opinion, so it's getting out there. The reason why that doesn't get out there is one, it's like, again, it goes back to training. Look at everybody, how they call 50 brokers.
All right.
I mean,
let's start.
And ask them how. Yeah, no, please let's not. But no, it's like I get DMs all the time. I don't think I'm anything special, but it's like so many people are like, man, you have a different mindset of the way you look at things. Thank you for actually bringing true value to us. I'm no guru or anything like that. I always say it. I'm just trying to pay it forward. But it stems back to, it's like whoever you're working for has a weak sales training process. Like it needs to stop going from, hey, we're customer centric. We have a fruit platter we offer, and we give you guys the basic train. No, like everybody's training process, most training processes are weak when it comes into big picture. Bottom line.
I just spoke with somebody yesterday that called me that actually works for a brokerage, and he says that the basic training was cold call, done. And that's all it was. That just cold call. And it wasn't even anything in regards to, okay, where did they fit in that
What's the why? What's the why? Exactly. Why are you doing this? It's like, okay, you first got to know what your company's value adds are, right?
Offer, right. What do I have to offer them?
What's your target audience? Like I've went into companies after Worldwide, and I was just like baffled. I was like, wait a sec. So you just so basically to get a lead list, they call them a lead list, and they just randomly, can I get a shipment? Can I get a shipment? I remember I sat down with this kid and I was like, you've been calling this company? He's like, yeah, I've been emailing them. They never emailed me back. And he spent probably 3 months on this one company. I said, okay, cool. Let me give them I just called them, right? Called the shipping manager. And he was like, yeah, we got 30 people. We just email blast out. We only do 5 truckloads a week. That was like, so to me, I was like, he could have just done that and saved himself a bunch of emails in three months, right? Not even most companies don't even know what a qualified lead is, right? Like, meaning, hey, you called the company, you gathered information. Now you think to your head, can I bring value? Is there enough value? Does it fit into my target customer? Okay, cool. Now it's a lead, right? Now it's a qualified opportunity, and you'll never hear anybody. I mean, I have yet to really think of now what do you do with a qualified lead? It's go straight to the shipping manager and get a load. No. Nope. But I mean, I'm not here to, okay, again, if you have to do that and you don't have the resources or platform to go outside and do other things outside of just a rate, I hate to say it, it's probably going to die out, but do what you can do now to separate yourself, right? Because again, transactional brokerage is not going away for good. I just don't know it. Like, whatever value add you could think of from, if you don't have like the resources, do it. But it's just, training is just weak in this industry. Like, I mean, it's just sad. It's like, it's like a bunch of just rate slingers.
Right. All right. So let's do that. Because you mentioned that quite a bit, is making sure that you're actually qualifying them, right? You're actually qualifying to somebody that you want to work with, because, and I get this all the time too. And there's times that, I get a lot of, customers that'll call me and they're just redistributors, right? They're buying something just to resell it and stuff like that. And I call them, birds. Cheap, 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 cheep, cheap. I'm like, okay, fortunately, I'm not your guy. So when you're going to look at that, what are you actually looking at? When you Googled that place, you got a possibility. What's your actual process to go through in your head for that?
All right. So okay. So I already know, I already know the value adds I could bring, right? So I'll call accounting. I'll have hey, speak to accounts.
Let's do it. Call me. I'm accounting.
Hey, what's up? Hey, Sage. Real quick question, Mike with Global Trans. I had a quick question for you. Are you the one that's actually handling your, transportation freight bills when you pay them?
Yeah. Yep. I do the outbound accounting. Yep.
Okay, cool. Real quick question. When those bills are coming into you, are they coming in electronically? Are they coming in, I say pigeon post? How are they coming in? How do you receive those?
It's random. Most of the carriers now can either email it to us. We have a couple that still mail it, but we tell them to email it and they still put it in the mail. Stuff like that. Usually random.
So all over the map?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool. So, okay. So when you're getting those, how many vendors? I know it's probably up and down, but if you had to ballpark it, how many bills from different vendors are you guys getting?
Oh God. We probably are doing, I'm going to say we're doing 200 shipments a month. Basically, okay. So let's say in 200 shipments a month, we're probably it can range anywhere from 50, 60 different carriers.
Oh, dang. So that's probably, okay. So my next question, and then I'll get you, I promise I won't keep asking much, but so you're getting a lot of bills are coming into you. How do you have a certain process, how you allocate or break down reference by anything? How do you go about that? What's your process for billing?
Yeah, so basically what we do is between the LTL and the truckload type stuff, we have the project managers kind of pick out who they're going to be using and stuff like that with people that they've already worked with. And then from there, they get me what they quoted to them and they send it over to me. And I basically wait for the invoice.
So they send you the quote and then you wait for the bill. And do you do like a checks and balance?
Well, once I get that in, and then I'll compare it with the folder. And that and see if the price is wrong, then I got to go back to the project manager and say, hey, what happened on this one, and then figure out if it was detained or what went wrong. It's more money, correct? So
every month 200-300, or you said 200 bills coming in, you have to go through manually and check the folder of the quoted price versus what you actually were billed on that invoice. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we use QuickBooks, so I'll go through the QuickBook type thing and stuff like that, and then from there, I just make sure that it matches up. If it doesn't match up, I have to go back and figure out what's going on. Correct.
So what happens do you end up just having to eat the cost if you don't figure it out, or what happens?
Some of our invoices, obviously, we're getting them in 30 days and stuff like that. And then we also have to bill our customers. So if it's a price difference of $200-$300, a lot of times we might just say, okay, we're just whatever, just pay it. We have no idea.
Oh, that's got to be brutal. Anyway, so then I would end it.
Customer of mine, just so you know, this is a real customer of mine.
You should give it to me, but
go ahead.
But no, so right then and there, it's like, okay, they are literally a manual process, 200 bills coming in a month. Don't really have any type of visibility when it comes into, again, just the discrepancy reports, right? I could say,
correct.
Listen, your accounting department I spoke with Sage, spending a ton of time, having to, gather all these invoices, waits for the project managers to send him over the quote. Then he goes in. Once the bill comes in, what could be anywhere between, 1 week to net 45. You never know. He's got to go look at the actual bills, what you were quoted. Do they match up? If they don't match up, you get what I'm saying. I would be like, I got something that, first and foremost, did you know that was going on in the financial impact that's having on your company? No. Okay. Well, again, what I could do is actually consolidate all those invoices, actually give you guys visibility reports on discrepancy reports so that Sage will no longer have to do the tedious work of going in and looking to find the quote versus what they were billed. He'll already know if the bill doesn't match the quote and why it did. Is that something that you think it's worth, 15 minutes to jump on a set call to discuss a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something. If that's the way it's being handled and you can find a better way to be able to process that information and more efficiently, yeah, let's do a 50-minute call.
Boom. That's what that right there would have so you know what I mean, though? It's like I would have 200 shipments. Boom. I wouldn't even have to ask for spend. I already don't need to talk to shipping. Maybe I'll call shipping, and shipping's real quick, man. It's like I'm straight up like, hey, listen, I get it. You're already getting blown up 20 brokers a day. I don't want to be on a carrier list. I got a couple questions for you just on a process standpoint. I can understand if you're going to hang up. Usually they laugh and realize, okay, this kid's self-aware. And then I'll just be like, real quick, I'll say, hey, listen, right now when you're booking, what's your quoting process or ordering process? Once you get a PO in, how do you go about getting a rate? And I can tell right there if it's like, well, we use email this. Okay, they don't got a TMS. Boom.
Right. And now
that's all I need.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing. And the shocking part is that the company I went to okay, I'm going to consider trans. You guys are a brokerage because you have an MC number. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a brokerage on steroids. All right. They went to a TMS company that does not have a brokerage. So it's kind of
a company.
I won't say it here. I'll tell you off screen.
I compete with those guys 24. Dude, I'm into a really large account. They suck.
They do horribly. And like I said, so it was funny too, because you want to know what the funniest part is? They actually called me, right? Now, remember, I do overdimensional freight, so I could have $100,000 load. That could be one load for me, right?
Yeah. I
got a phone call and they're like, hey, can we pay you by credit card? I'm like, what? This is a 3PL asking to pay me by credit card. So I'm like, no, because I'm not paying your 5% fee. You can pay the 5% fee, but I'm not paying that fee. So if you do, you're paying the 5% fee because I'm not going to have you invoice me. I'm not going to eat that. So you decide if you want to eat it or not. And then next thing I know, actually, I should probably contact you about this. I think they're going to be getting rid of this company and going with somebody else because there's some other issues that are happening with that because
yeah, here's the thing is it's like and they're usually in a lot of big companies, right? And right now I have he's like a mentor of mine. He's like director of sourcing now. Finally he's got his master's and stuff. I was like, dude, he's taking me. Here's the first enterprise account I've ever sold a deal to, and we just became like friends or more or less mentors. So he's worked at Malibu Boats. He's taken me everywhere if he could, right? So now we got one, and he wasn't the DM. He's never been the final DM, right? And he reports directly to the CEO. They do about $8 million. He calls me. I was like, fucking yes, man. Finally, we could just you were the man. But they use he goes, do you ever heard of this company? And I said, no, dude, I got their data. And again, I'm not saying they're all bad, but they sell this TMS, and he was like, I don't know what they're doing for us, Mike. They are not so basically they just pretty much they have 9 different warehouses. Nothing's integrated. They have Oracle. They spend all this money and they're not integrated into the TMS that this company sold them. Basically, all this company does is put their bills in one place that even then looks like shitty and just kind of audits them and takes 50% of what they find. That is it. Right. And I was like, dude, we do that for free. But here's the problem with just straight up technology companies is that don't have any kind of background on the day-to-day, or not even day-to-day, but just from an operational standpoint. And, they don't know what's going on. They know technology, and technology is great, but to what degree, right? It's technology needs to be updated. For instance, TMSs, people think you set it there and, oh, you got all these. No, you got to put business rules in place through and have them integrate into your system so they're actually talking, and those business rules are have to be updated, right? It's not just set up a TMS and be done with it. What happens there? Basically you're spending a bunch of money for just nothing.
Right. And that's the thing too, is for mine, the customer I have doesn't use a TMS, so I don't need a TMS. And I don't do a ton of volume, so it's fine for me. But even at TMS, there's a lot of times you'll go out and carriers will get the TMS and they'll be able to control that within their company, but they don't realize that, hey, we can integrate this TMS to their TMS.
Anything. You can integrate a TMS. Like, I mean, even if you don't have like an ERP system or whatever, it's just like if too many companies that I see are getting sold this TMS and don't even have any type of integration. Like most times when you got a TMS, you're going to want some type of integration, like to the point where it's like even a simple integration, API integration for QuickBooks, right?
Right.
It's a simple system. Literally takes it's as simple as like it could be done in a day.
Or EDI.
EDI is fine too. I mean, API is like
the newer one, right?
But you get what I'm saying is it's like,
right.
If you're going to like, again, it's a lot of, it goes back into education, right? It goes back into, are you just selling stuff to sell stuff? Or are you actually being a resource, right? Like I'd rather be the person that walks away from something and says, listen, this just doesn't make any sense, or you're in a good spot for now, or does, just whatever, versus add to their issues, right? Because it just gives us a bad name in general in the industry.
Right. And I think that's, like I said, it's some of the stuff we talk about. And I think it all comes back to training, into proper knowledge, and then being able to go into that customer fully aware of what you know, so that because it's your job to know it. That's why they're hiring you. That's why, or hopefully hiring you, but that's why they're bringing you in.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is like, I mean, I lucked out, and not everybody was like that when that worked at Worldwide became like great. And I'm not saying I'm great, but it's like, I was just lucked out though. Like, it's like, and then I took what they taught me, and I took advantage. Like, again, you got to be a doer yourself too, right? It's like, right. I didn't learn any of this stuff at Worldwide when I talk about like cost to serve, high level stuff, like really high level stuff. But that's on me, right? And I met other people in the industry. Shout out to Chris Capillas from Blue Grace, probably the only one I would ever, if I ended up going up against Blue Grace and Chris Capillas, that would be a challenge, and I would love it. But like, super smart guy, but it's like he took me to the next level. It's like he made I would say like a sales savage into a brainiac, right? Knowing things like really in depth when it comes into, I know the basics, how to get a meeting and get all like basic information, consolidated invoices. This guy took me to the next level. So shout out to him. But it just, training is like important, really important. And too many companies that have the capability to do multiple different things outside of just go out and tell their brokers to go shop a rate, just don't take the time, because again, it's a longer it might be a longer process. They don't want to invest in their people, right? They say they do. Everybody says they want to invest, but it's like, why is your turnover rate 80%?
Right. And I think that's a huge number that people are like, oh, right.
I mean, dude, it's not just because sales is tough, but it's like, dude, at some point, sometime when your turnover rate's that bad, it's got to be stopped. It's got to stop being a salesperson's problem. It's got to start pointing the finger at you, right? The managers, right. The executives. It's like, that's a you problem, right? Because it's like, put your manager on a PIP. Like, what is he doing? It's time to call someone out, right? It's time to say, whoa, 80% here. Call up the higher ups, right? I mean, it is what it is, man. But it's like, I think that it all comes back down to self-awareness too. It's like, I think people treat people like they're dumb, right? It's like, at least I don't know, but like, I think talented people, even though they like, someone's going to be talented or has some drive right when they get even right as they start. They might not have that education when it comes into the knowledge for the industry, but you could kind of tell. And those people can read other people, right? And they could see you're losing. You know how many people, like really talented people, probably just jump into a company and then they're like, screw this person's never, because like money was nothing to me. Like I always said it. I said, dude, I would have did it for free with the training I got, because I always looked at it like long term, right? It's like, okay, cool. I'll take less pay here, but I'm going to get so much good. Like this training is going to benefit me. And in the long run, I'm going to consistently, grow my revenue. And I did. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything, because it was that training, the beginning processes of my career was the reason why I was able to scale so quickly. And I am where I am today.
All right, let me ask this then. So on that same aspect, that it's not them training properly, at what point is it for that low person that's saying, hey, I'm not being trained properly? At what point is it time for them to start screaming?
A lot of people are asking me that, because now that I'm like LinkedIn is popular and I'm voicing my opinion and explaining things, are like, whoa, this is like crazy. And it actually makes sense. And like, I mean, I can help you, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, right? I can't give you the answer to that. I could just say is like, listen, I'm not saying my way is right. I'm not saying my way is wrong. I'm not sitting here. I'm just saying this is what I do and it works for me. Right. I know it works for other people. You can either, you got to figure that out on your own, right? There's just some things that people can't hold your hand for everything, right? I just don't have an answer to when to leave, right? You know what to do. Like, I think it's like, use your gut if just in anything in life, right? It's like, if someone's not going to train you, the company is kind of shady or whatever, your manager's not good, that's on you to either stay or, again, I get it. Some people just can't afford to quit at the end of the day, right? I don't blame you.
And it's hard. I think it's hard because it's like, you have to be smarter than the other people, because it's a lot of time they're just snagging, like they're doing those calls. But so it's your job to know and to dive in and to realize that whole business model and that thing. You have to be business oriented.
Yeah, you do. But it's like, I wouldn't even say smarter. I'm nothing special, but it's like at the end of the day, I think it's just, you got to start doing
work harder. Right.
No, not even work hard. Work hard. I mean, I think that just goes with anything, dude. Right. I'm not here. Like, again, I don't want to get in the whole, like, oh, grind it out, do this. Like, dude, I don't think at this point people should be even like, if you have to be told to work hard, that we already have issues, right? Like I probably not me. If I have to tell you that working hard makes you succeed, we're probably not going to jive, whether that's in my personal life or professional, right? It just, I don't see that. Nothing wrong with you if you want, if you do got to be told that. But again, anyways, so I'm not even about that. It's more or less like just do, right? A lot of people sit around and I could see I get caught up in it where I'm just like, someone that's done it, been successful, and I'll just be reading some of these things on LinkedIn. I'll be like, maybe cold calling is dead, or maybe this is dead. And I'm just like, wait, what am I thinking? Like, and I can only imagine though, how many new people it's like, listen, cold calling might be dead, but I'll tell you this, people that put themselves out there and consistently take fate into their own hands accomplish more than those that don't. And that's just facts. Whether cold calling's dead, whether it's whatever your opinion is, nobody can argue that someone that takes fate into their own hands and just goes for it doesn't accomplish more than someone that doesn't. And I'll repeat that again. Take fate into your own hands, block out the noise. You might get, I'm telling you, I get so passionate about this because it's like so many people, like, it's super simple. Like, stop waiting. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's like, stop. Like, what are you waiting? Like, who cares if it's dead? Who cares if someone tells you that a CEO, listen, I don't care. I literally will. You know what? I got a better odds of calling someone and getting told no than just sitting around listening to, the next LinkedIn guy that, if anybody has guru on their LinkedIn too, can we please not?
Can we let it go?
But it's like, no, man, it's just like more or less, it's like, dude, stop paying attention. Like, what's going to drive, what's going to grow you. And it's not the person that tells you to have a great Friday because good vibes are coming your way. Listen, it's toxic. Exactly. It's toxic positivity. Start focusing. People should know this. It's like, I go to people that when I want to feel sorry for myself, I go to people that I know that are going to tell me what I want to hear. And that nothing comes from that, right? Besides nothing. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, nothing impactful, I should say. Right. Nothing enlightening. But when I truly want to grow, and I have my core circle of 5 people that I'll go to, and they're gonna tell me what I need to hear. Right? I don't want to hear, but they're gonna tell me, and that's gonna grow me. So it's like, that's up to people, though. People rather just go if you rather follow the people that are really not providing you any value. That's on you. You can only blame yourself. So right. The education, it's the internet. You can find it anywhere. Start following the right people, start putting yourself in situations and just start doing. Stop talking, stop thinking, stop asking questions that you haven't even tried to accomplish on your own. Just do. Start failing. And I know that sounds cliche.
This is a guy that would storm right into the CEO's office and be like, hey, how's it going? Right? Basically.
Here's what I want to say too to that. It's like, right, yes, yeah. 40. I have private equity guy, Rick. I've already shouted him out once. I'm surprised he even commented back on it. But no, I mean, that was like the changing point of my career too. It's like, I've talked to a bunch of CEOs at that point. But I remember cold calling this company, and this guy is a private equity guy, literally flew me out to Chicago. I'm a 6-year-old at that time. I said, hey, I'm looking for Rick. Rick comes out, and I was like, I remember to this day, I was like shaking. I had a field ride with me too at this point. He was like we take potential new hires on a field ride of like what a day was. This kid was like sold. Because I had the best day of my life too that day. I was just like cold call. I was like literally getting everybody. But no, it just stuck in my head. I was like, you know what? I would have never had this chance. I called Rick 5 times, 10 times before I sent him an email, said, I'll be there on 10 o'clock a.m. Wednesday. Please just come out. I want to put a face to the name. Secretary said, does he expect you? And I said, yeah. I sent him an email. He should know. And he came out. He was like, get back here. And we literally, dude, he's the man. And it was like that right there. It's like, that was just kind of like in my head from like at that point in my career, highest level person that I met with CEOs, but this was like a CEO, right? This was like a dude. I mean, the dude was this guy was hired on by private equity companies to go in and control companies, right? So again, look what that got me though. That got me introduced to the actual PE firm. Those guys are like old school Rolodex guys, right? They wanted a guy that could handle it. They wanted a guy that they could call to handle every company they acquire to go look. I didn't even get the deal I was trying to get. It didn't make sense to them. They said, 5%, you were too late, Mike. And that was like another reason where it was like, long story short, puts you in situations like that. And when people say like cold calling CEOs don't handle that, listen, maybe these new CEOs, our trust fund people don't, but I've met with hundreds of CEOs, old school CEOs, PE guys that listen, you're never getting them unless you call them. And there's something to be said when you actually have the kahunas to just go after what you want. Right.
Right. And I think that even when I interact with them too, it's like a lot of our times that they're down to earth people. They're usually not expecting that.
When did they not become people? Like, I mean,
exactly.
I'm very observant, dude, when it comes into everybody's behavior. And 2 things. I am observant, and I just, again, in my head, I was like always watching the way my internal CEO, my CEO, like would talk to like VPs and stuff. And I was like, you hear me, and I'm like, dude, this, that, but I'm knowledgeable. So that doesn't, like, who cares if I say, dude, maybe it turns off someone. And then the second piece is like, they're all cut from the same cloth as me. They all started some way, unless they were a trust fund person, right? And I don't have time for that, but like they're all cut from the same cloth. Like they're people, they got to respect it, right? And beginning of my career, younger, driven, didn't know shit, but I had the kahunas to call them, and that's probably how I got most of my meetings, right? It was just like, damn, this kid is literally aggressive. I'll take his meeting. I don't know. I remember one of the first meetings I sat with the CEO, my manager came with me, and he was like, listen, I don't know what you guys do. Mike just came in off the street, and I just like the kid. And, go ahead. Yeah, he just was like, that was it was like, he comes in at 5:30. I'm on a phone call. He passed my personal assistant, just walks into my office, and I was just like, but that was my point. My point is, though, don't be afraid to cold call. Like, more times than not, you get hung up on by the people that are not the CEO, right? They might not always take your meeting. More times than not, though, they're not hanging up on you. They're saying no or something, but it's like, you're never going to be comfortable with talking to people like that, in my head, I don't look like I've called CEOs of $1 billion company. I just don't care. Like, they're humans to me.
Right. I need to talk to a person. I don't care if they're $1 billion company. I know my crap. And I'm going to make that phone call, and I'm going to ask that.
Who's making the decision? And I already know that. It's like, it's not a power trip. It's like, I did an interview with an awesome lady. She's vice president. Now she works at, Zap. She's a VP of procurement there, but she was the VP of supply chain at, how am I forgetting this? WinCup. And we did this interview, and because I'm trying to go back, I'm thinking about my master's degree in supply chain. And anyway, so I was like, since I got you on the line, can I like put you on my YouTube? And she was like, yeah, cool. So we started talking about it. And I remember I go, listen, I always reach out to the CEO. You're the vice president of supply chain, been in the industry 25 years. You probably would have been the person I went to, right?
Right.
Who made the call at your company? She goes, president and CEO or COO. She goes, you got to go with, and she goes, you got the right mindset, Mike. You got to go where the money's at. And she's the vice president of supply chain, 25-year vet. You already know she's very heavily involved, but at the end of the day, when it came to a $500 million company, the person that made, like, she was obviously a huge influence, right? But she even said, and I was like, so you wouldn't have been mad if I would have, or upset that I went over your head? She goes, first off, I know my capabilities and I'm not insecure. So no, go where and she kept saying, go where the money's at. And that's when I was like, it's just reassured. It was nice because like having someone of her stature, like explain that and like, yeah, she's the spearheading it. But at the end of the day, it's CEO and COO, especially at a company that big.
Right. And I think that's what people understand is a lot of times you're shooting for that traffic manager or that, but down the line, it's that CEO that's going to say, hey, use this guy to that manager.
Well, here's the thing is it's nothing wrong with the traffic manager, but we all have roles. The traffic manager does what the traffic manager does. He doesn't know the other things that impact the company, and he shouldn't because that's not his title. That's not his job responsibility. Like, for instance, for me, I only know, like, when I remember I was that person. We were switching from Gmail to Outlook, and it was like, Mike, you got to switch. The whole company's switching. We got to switch. I said, yeah, whatever. Never. And my office manager, God bless her, I love her to death, but I was that asshole where she was like, Mike, please, can you switch over? And I was just like, she can ask me, she can't tell me what to do. That's what I like that. But that's how you got to think about it that way. Then my VP came up to me and was like, I don't care what you do.
Put it down.
You're literally got one day. You either are going to lose all your emails from Outlook, or you call, I think his name was Rick or something, for our implementation guy. You're going to call Rick and get it switched over. But either way, we're switching. So you got to make the decision. And it was like, knowing that, it's like, that's like, I tell that story, but it's like, April was the traffic manager that could ask her other departments what to do, but couldn't tell them what to do. Right. So that's why nothing gets happened. People settle mid-level, nothing wrong with it's not like a shun on these people, but like at the end of the day, they can't, they can ask some people what to do, but it's like the CEO is going to make the decision based on, does this impact the entire organization and explain why. That's who's going to make the call. I mean, and again, it's all situational. Again, you VP of supply chain, you can get people like that, but like starting from so low, you end up, it becomes a mess, right? Especially if you're actually going to make some decent sized changes when it comes into involving multiple different departments. You need everybody. And you need you don't need to have them 24/7, but you need that buy-in and you need them tied in. You at least need them in there you just need them in there, right? You need them in there eventually, and then you need them always in those emails, or once issues arise, like have them in knowing about it. You have to keep direct contact with them, I think. At least in my opinion.
And just so everybody knows, Mike's very difficult to get emailed. You email him and he emails you back next day, at least for me. But besides that,
dude, just you're not paying me yet. So you get.
Gotcha. Hang on. Where's your Cash App? No, just kidding.
Yeah, right.
but no, I think that's a huge factor. People understand is you want to go to. I think you have something on your Indeed that says, don't take no from somebody that can't tell you yes anyways. Correct?
Oh yeah, I just posted that. It's like, yeah, at the end of the day. Yeah, don't take. I mean, I'm not gonna take a no from someone that couldn't give me a yes.
Right, exactly.
Like, and I don't mean like I mean literally give me a yes. Like couldn't have, like they had to go take it to someone else. Like who's gonna you're gonna like no.
Right, exactly, because that person couldn't make the decision anyway. So I might as well just go right to the person that makes the decision, and then interact with them and sell my services to them and show them my what my potential is for helping their company. And I think that's just that's something that's not looked at. It's not taught. It's not gone over. And it's just, there's an intimidation factor and I think it's because, like I said, you want to make sure you know your stuff before you make those approaches.
No, I was setting meetings with CEOs when I didn't know anything. It was like more or less learn a couple things. Like, no, because here's what's going to happen is anybody that takes this is going to get nervous. Literally just call the CEO and say, hey, listen, I can help you save money.
All right. Tell me how to save money then.
Cool. So I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. But let's listen. I know I called you off guard. Let's set up a call, 15 minutes, and then have a manager help you.
Oh, gotcha. Perfect.
But
so we know the trick. Have someone there that knows at least. Gotcha.
Just do it. I mean, no. At the end of the day, it's like it's gonna just do it, and it doesn't even have to be the CEO. Learn some stuff. Google some stuff. If you really truly want to learn supply chain logistics operations, it all starts from like
doing it.
Yeah, just doing it. Like try something out different. It's like if you're doing something right now and it's not working ever,
change it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to do like a clinic right now, but it's like, or be that guy that's like, do it. You should do it this way. Listen, most people that are going to succeed are self-aware and then have some type of idea of how to use Google.
Google. What's this Google you speak of? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't even know.
I have another kid that does YouTube University. That's what he basically calls YouTube. So besides that, so yeah, I appreciate you. I mean, you got to, how much like you got to take off? Because I know.
I gotta go. What time? Yeah, I definitely gotta go.
All right, cool. Anything you want to say in the end here?
Don't treat your supply chain like an auction. And if you ever, if anybody's watching that actually, wants to take a look at their supply chain, give me a reach out. Midwest Mike on Instagram if you want to follow me because you're into personal stuff. That's kind of where I post my personal life.
I'll be putting your YouTube channel in the link just so you know. So your YouTube channel at the end of this we posted in the link, so you'll be able to click on his YouTube channel. Check him out. He does random videos and he says some stuff which are rants, but I don't even consider them rants. But he'll get better at the rant type thing. But besides that, then yeah, thanks for coming on. I'd like to do this more often. It's reach out to me and we'll rock on with it.
Definitely appreciate it, man. I'll talk to you.
See you everybody.